Welcome to CXO Unplugged. I'm Phil Dobbie, and today with me I've got Peter Williams, who's the CEO of Deloitte Digital, which is distinct from the whole of Deloitte, which obviously is a large organisation. Tell me a little bit about Deloitte Digital. Give me the 30-second elevator pitch.
So Deloitte Digital is a new business which is just delivering our services that we've traditionally delivered face-to-face, but delivering them online.
Right.
So things like moving into online accounting, where you can collaborate with your accountant 24/7 as opposed to once a year when you bring in your books. We do a lot of document management for things like merger and acquisition deals or large legal cases, surveys, e-learning, a whole raft of stuff.
Now you're working in a space that is moving ahead now in leaps and bounds, and shows no sign of slowing. But you're still going to have ideas that work well and ideas that don't work so well. I mean, some can just die in the ditch. How do you really spot a good idea?
Well, I sort of have about 30 of them a day. So,
right.
And so to me, ideas it's about quantity before quality.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do start thinking of ideas, we tend to have an idea at first, which might be okay, but it's then thinking about, well, what else could we do with this? How could it work? Why is it different? What could we add? What could we subtract? So we, and the other thing is too, whenever we have an idea, rather than sort of building it all out at once, we rapidly prototype and test. So that might be if we've got an idea for a new sort of web page or something, we'll mock it up in a half a day just as a picture and show it to people. What do you think? What do you reckon? And if it looks as though it's getting traction, then we build it out. So we don't do lots of time on ideas around lots of effort onto business cases and planning and guessing. We just think prototype, test, and if it looks good, keep moving. And that way you're never going to bet the farm on any idea. And if the idea sort of sounds good at the start, but you can fairly quickly work out if it's going to fly or not, and you haven't really spent too much time or money.
So what do you think is the secret to driving innovation? Is it a lot of brainstorming? Is it the people you get involved in? Or?
Well, I think you've got to look at innovation on two aspects. One is the creativity angle about coming up with ideas. Now, a lot of people feel that that's the domain of the sort of weirdy arty types, but what we've found is that...
Well, you have got the black shirt on.
Yeah. I've just did it up. I've got a T-shirt underneath. But the way we look at it is we think about what issues do we want to solve.
Yeah.
Or other times we just do things like the genesis of Deloitte Digital really came from a discussion we had about the way we make money in Deloitte is while we work around rates per hour, hours per day, how could we make money while we sleep? So effectively looking at things like that to flip perspective, or we'll run brainstorming sessions on, say for new staff, how could you make money at Deloitte by not doing any work? Just to see what sort of left field radical ideas come through. And again, not all the ideas you get are going to be fantastic, but taking a different view, in my view, is the way to get breakthrough ideas.
To use that horrible hackneyed phrase, it's thinking outside the box, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think you could sort of say that, or it's just create an opposite box.
Right.
So one box, we make money while we work. Well, let's create a box called make money while we sleep and see what happens on those ones. But right. a good example of a great idea that came through was the Deloitte Leadership Academy, which is an e-learning and social network for business leaders. The idea there originally came in as deliver business education in planes, and we didn't have any business education, nor did we have any planes, but we thought that sounds like a good idea. Let's go and see if we can pull this together. And we pulled together Harvard, and the Leadership Academy goes live in aeroplanes, the A380s this week, October the 24th. So again, started it up, did a mock-up, worked out how we could source the content, and got it to market quick. And I think that's the second thing about innovation. Ideas are really easy, and you can come up with thousands of them. Execution is where it lives or dies. So sure, be creative around your ideas, but really work out how you're going to execute fast, and understand that you might have a few failures along the way, but if you do rapid prototyping and testing early, you can quickly work out which ideas are going to fly and which ones are going to die.
Now, do you need different people to look after those different stages, or ideally you're looking for people who can come up with those great ideas and then operationalise them as well?
It sort of depends. The basic thing is that my belief is that anybody can generate ideas. The biggest issue is that people have talked themselves into, from about the age of 11, that they can't paint, they can't sing, they can't dance. Anything to do with creativity is not them. Where in fact we've all got a creative capacity, and it's just really that sort of self-permission to make it happen. So in terms of getting ideas, I don't think you need any sort of extraordinary people, but I think you do need diversity. because if you get 10 people who've all been trained in the same stuff and worked in the same jobs, they're going to have fairly similar ideas. It's about getting people with different perspectives, looking at a concept or a problem, and that's where you get your breakthrough. So I don't think you need, as I say, special people. I just think you need diversity. The second part in terms of operationalising, yeah, the people are a bit different at times, so it could be project management types, more technical types, or pull specialists in around the idea if you need it. But innovation isn't something where you need to sort of get some weird team of elite crackpots and send them off to the bush and see what happens when they pop their head out every 6 months. It's something that should be embedded into the DNA of an organisation, part of the culture. And I say in Deloitte, ideas are the currency of the corridor conversation. Effectively, when you know that you walk down the corridor and people are saying, hey, I've got an idea, or did you see this, or we could do that, you know that innovation's starting to bubble through the whole organisation as opposed to a little elite team that's centralising everything.
So what is it you're doing that's inspiring people, do you think?
I think I bring a level of passion to what I do, and I also think that people who work around me know that I really back them and I empower them. I'm a real believer in empowering. If you hire smart people, create the right environment, give them the right opportunities, and back them to the hill. Even if they're in trouble, I say I'll always put my body on the line between a staff member and anybody having a go at them. And I think that sort of sense of, I believe in you, I back you, and I think the other side of it is as well, sort of raising the bar, I suppose. My mum was a librarian. I probably read more books than anybody I know, usually 2 or 3 a week, and I really push myself to be at the top of the game. And I think people who see a leader who's really pushing the envelope and working as hard as they can to stay at the top, I think it also engenders a sort of leadership by example, as opposed to telling everybody that they should be doing everything while you're sort of sipping martinis on a cruiser or something. So, yeah, but I think, again, at the end of the day, it's probably passion.
So it's the one thing piece of advice that someone's given you at some point in your career that you can look back on and say, that really changed the way I think and the way I manage people?
If there was one sort of line that I think, or that really was important to me from a web career, it would be from Kevin Kelly, who's the editor at Wired magazine, and he wrote a book called New Rules for the New Economy, which I think is effectively the Bible of the web, and it came out in the sort of mid-90s, and that was open is better than closed. And I think with the web and the stuff I do, it's very much about saying, how do we open up? How do we start to collaborate more openly, both with clients but also with people around the place? And we're seeing, I suppose, that notion of open collaboration just take off in the last number of years with things like Wikipedia or YouTube, these massive amounts of information that have effectively been done by people in an open, collaborative way, and we're seeing how it's really changing society and the world.
And you're embracing that technology internally as well within Deloitte Digital? Is that how your workforce is working?
Yeah, so effectively, I think Deloitte has had a very open mind in terms of a lot of these new things. So Facebook, for example, where we don't ban it, we actually encourage all of our people to use it because we see that the way that people network these days is so much more powerful by being able to have big networks of friends online and being able to keep in touch, and it breaks down silos and helps you manage your alumni and all those sort of things. So we've actively embraced things. So if we see our people are starting to use something on the web, rather than look at it and say, oh, we better ban it because we didn't tell them to use it, we say, maybe there's something in there. If 40% of our staff are using it, maybe they know something that we don't. So I think having that sort of more open-minded view to technology. And I think the key thing to understand, though, is whilst technology is changing, blogs have been around for 10 years, Wiki the same, it's the application of these technologies and the way it changes social connections and behaviours that is the real power here. So it's not technology in itself that drives change, it's the way people apply it. So I always say social trends drive technology uptake, not the other way around. And I think as we're starting to see lots of social changes in our capacity to connect and to collaborate, the world is changing fast, and I like it.
Right.
I like leading change and doing things that have never been done before.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thanks very much for your time today.
No worries.